So
I'd like you to tell me what it is, because I don't know yet.
Oh yeah.
That'd be helpful.
The thing I love about Hitchhiker's Guide is that it uses the entire universe to speak about very small and important and relevant human things. So I've decided to talk about trolls. Digital and otherwise.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure whether you were talking about, online trolls, or whether you were talking about actual people who live under bridges.
Well, it'll probably, like Adams, it'll probably swing around a lot of the, yes.
Okay. That's good. That's the first time I found out about this as well. This is new information to me too. Great. Okay. Trolls.
Yeah.
Okay. When you say that this event is my idea and creation, that of course is total nonsense. The original idea, wait, I'll get to your point in a minute. The original idea came from, I had a conversation at the Listowel Writers' Week this week with Shane Hegarty, the wonderful Shane Hegarty, who was on our panel. And Shane had said to me, oh, do you know the anniversary is coming up this year? We were talking, and he said, you should do something. We should do something. I'm not quite sure what, but we should market in some way. And we were so, both of us, excited about it, that I thought, okay, let me have a think about that for a while. And that was the same evening I was meeting you for dinner in Listowel, and I sat down with you and I said that, and within being the ideas generating machine that you are, within about 10 seconds you went, it's great, what we're going to do is we're going to get people to write their own entries, it's a great, and between that coming to that, I don't really have any part in this. Instead, I took Shane's idea and I just put it in front of Dave, who then put something else onto it and bolted something else into it, and that's how it became a thing. I like to think it's my talent in life, is just bringing talented people together and being the glue.
You're the chef, we're the ingredients.
I definitely am not good at that. Mine are and always shall be the opening theme tune to the TV series, with the haunting banjo that to this day still scares the bejesus out of me. I was obviously small enough that when I saw the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on TV first time around, it kind of freaked me out and terrified me. It's not a scary TV series at all, but I was young enough that it was. It made me sufficiently interested to go out and go, oh, there are books connected to this. Went out, bought them, read them all, loved them, and then many years later managed to go in. I'd love to look up the year, but I'm not going to, because it will scare me in terms of how old I am. I went in to Easton's when Douglas Adams was doing a signing, when Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency came out, and I went in, bought a copy of that, didn't really like it, didn't care for it, and instead got him to sign my original first copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I still have to this day.
Was he nice? Was
he was absolutely lovely. Yeah, he was incredibly charming. Me and the 1,200 other people who were in the queue, he was lovely. Yeah.
So for me, I had an encyclopedia, very fittingly, when I was a kid, of aliens. It had a mixture of aliens from different pop culture sources, and so I remember, you'd read read about Dune, and you read about Warhammer, and you read about Star Wars, and then you read about Zephod Beeblebrox, and you're like, that's different. The tone is different, everything about it is different. And what I immediately went down and hunted down the books, and I'd never read anything that spoke so directly to me, that took these huge, massive concepts and did it like a friend. It feels like, your mate who is much cleverer than you puts his arm around you and is telling you a lovely story. So I fell in love from that moment on.
Makes sense.
So it gave me a star to aim for. Reading Adams made me want to be a writer, not just because I love science fiction and fantasy, but because word by word, he's the smartest author you'll ever read in your life. Like, he inched up the corridor as if he would rather be yarding up it, is just so magical, but also this casual genius and beautifully direct. And that's something that I try and fail, but try to have in my own writing. And one of the greatest moments, I think, of my professional life is when the film rights for Knights of the Borrowed Dark were bought by someone who Douglas Adams was a mentor to, someone who got their start in TV from Douglas Adams. And the first line of the letter he wrote me was, "Douglas would have loved your book." And then I died forever.
And that's it. You're still looking good, though. In terms of how it's affected me, I think it was the very first thing in pop culture. And if you're a human being of a certain brain set, you latch on to things throughout the course of your life that are pop cultural, that you can quote, and things that you can talk to other people about. And you can say a single phrase somewhere, and someone else across the room will go, because they know exactly what you're talking about. And it can be, for some people, The Simpsons, and kind of is. For some people, it's Father Ted. For me, I think the first time that ever happened. Prior even to me discovering Monty Python, which was later in my world, it was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So it was the first key into that kind of secret handshake of worlds that can happen with pop culture stuff throughout the course of your entire life. Initially, the idea had been that we would obviously do it for a charity, because none of us really want to make any money out of this, and in theory we'd like to do something good for somebody else. The idea of doing it for a charity involved with migrants and refugees, it's a simple enough one. At the very beginning of the very first story, Arthur literally becomes who we believe to be the last refugee from his own planet. Everybody else in the human race is destroyed in the space of the first chapter of the book. So in my head, that made a weird connective sense to me, and it's one of those things that I think we all should be paying more attention to these days. And then it just made complete sense to do it for Migrant Rights Centre Ireland.
For me, the connection that I see is that they need our help, and a big part of Adam's work is that the universe is chaotic and gigantic and unfeeling and occasionally very unkind, but we shouldn't be. And we have an opportunity to open our doors, to be that airlock for somebody else, and when they need us, we should be there.
But we're not the Vogons, obviously.
No, God no.
Of course.
The universe is full of unthinking, horrible bureaucracy, and it's up to humans and individuals to be kind.
I do have a lot of terrible poetry.